All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to more Black Desert. My name is John, and today I wanted to talk about 10 tips to grinding more efficiently. And I've done a video of this in the past, but I wanted to do a quick update because a lot of stuff has changed in the past year, whether that's Marni realm or like being able to buff and elixirs and everything. So I wanted to just make a quick update, and I have a list of things that I wanted to talk about. So hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. And yeah, so whether you're a beginner or an endgame player, chances are you probably grind at some point or at least a little bit. And hopefully these tips help all of you guys. So number one, the Marni realm versus the non-Marni realm. So as a general rule, I think if there's a Marni realm spot, the monsters in there respawn faster to more or less match the overworld grinding spot, and usually that's to make it equal in terms of like grind speed and the bigger rotation without the Marni realm. So I think overall it's a good thing. And over the years I've heard people complaining about the Marni realm and is it good or not. I think overall it's a good thing, just because some people are just PvEers and they don't want PvP, and I get that. And generally, the way it is in most games, most people are not into PvP, so it is what it is. And I think that just having it's not a big deal. Has it changed my experience even as an endgame player? No, not at all. So I think that the Marni realm is overall a good thing, and if you find a spot that you like, just stay there, because grinding somewhere you like versus grinding a really boring spot for slightly more silver an hour. After playing this game for 8 years, I tend to just go back to a lot of spots that I like if I'm not going for like a specific thing in mind. So yeah, Marni realm, pretty good. Obviously, there's downside of being able to only grind an hour, and then you have to go out and let the timer recharge and then go back another hour, versus just being able to go in, infinitely technically. So yeah, Marni realm, good now compared to before, and I think it's definitely worth something to check out if you haven't already. So another tip that I could give you guys is the tent versus and the villa buff. So as you guys know, there is a tent, and there's a free version, and there's also a paid version. So I'm going to show you how it works just very quickly. And I do have a video on how to get the free version, all the materials you need, how to get that. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to watch that. It's a very quick quest, actually. So for all of you who are not interested in spending the $50 for it, you can get a free one. The difference is basically you have to renew it. Like, you have to get the materials like every 7 days. And then the permanent one is obviously permanent. It's more of a convenience thing versus not spending real money. So link in the description to that video if you want to watch it. And I do have the permanent one just because I just play this game more than your average person. Let me show you how it works. So when you install your campsite, you're going to have 4 pieces, whether you're like the paid version or the not. There's these 4 items, right? So in the free version, you kind of have to just get these off the market as well, and you just get them like once every week or something. And they functionally do the same thing. You can use your Villa Scroll, or this is the most important thing, the Villa Scroll. You could do this from anywhere versus being able to do it only in the desert. And if you have never done this, back in the day before the tent, what we would have to do is, you see these icons right here, these are villas, right? That's why they call them villas. And you would buy a scroll that lasts 7 days from the NPC here. It was like 10 million silver. And back in the day, that was a lot, like 10 million for grinding. Nowadays, it's just like, what, you grind for a minute and you have 10 mil easy. So yeah, every week before like PvP, all that other stuff, we would have to go to a villa, leave a character there, transfer it, and get the scroll, and then you buy your buffs from there. Nowadays, you could just do it from your campsite, and that's why they call it Villa Scroll. And then aside from that, you could buy like item drop rate Everyone knows what that is. More drop rate, better. So yeah, getting a tent buff and using your Villa Scroll is actually worth doing. And I know a lot of people that actually just grind without buffs because it's like, oh, I'm spending 50 mil for a tent buff and then like another 50 mil for elixirs and food and everything combined. And trust me, I get it. It's like, oh, I feel like I'm losing a lot of silver to grind for an hour. But trust me, in every single spot, well, I'd say like 99% of spots, you will profit by being able to grind faster. And so overall, it is worth it to pop buffs in every grind spot. And yeah, it's definitely something you guys should look into when you're doing. And you can see all my other grind videos and how I'm full elixired and buffed wherever. And I think it's worth doing. So next thing on our list we want to talk about is food and elixirs. So for all of you guys, I would recommend doing the quest for your family inventory. So by default, you only have inventory and pearl tabs, right? And I don't remember where, but I believe it's probably in your like suggested tab list, and you do a quest to unlock the family inventory. So this one is basically another inventory for your entire family, which is all your characters. And admittedly, I have bought some extra slots for it when they were on sale, but I think it is actually worth it just because you get to store everything that matters here. So like for me, I do mostly foods and the elixirs that I use, whether I'm life skilling, PvEing, or grinding. And then you could actually put the infinite potions in here as well, which is a recent change they made a couple months ago, and along with the Aliens tiers. But I assume all of you guys have literally thousands of Aliens tiers and you've never bought one because they just kind of give them out like candy nowadays. So yeah, a lot of you guys should have them. You can put them in your family inventory and just not have to worry about it ever. That's really good. And so yeah, you can have your things auto feed your pets. You can have your infinite potions in here, all your scroll buffs, your elixirs, foods. That's something I would recommend doing. If you are grinding, I would say the general rule is using a simple cron meal because it gives extra AP against monsters, which actually is a lot more than most people may think. And it's not like 1-to-1 you should use simple crons here versus exquisites in PvP. Obviously, there are different places where everything is different, but I would say for most people, the extra AP against monsters will always be more effective than exquisites, but obviously there are exceptions to that. And then elixirs versus drafts. And I would say for most people, using a draft will be significant enough. And everything else is like, if you're at endgame and you're looking for elixir rotations and, you know, more endgame stuff, I do have a video of that as well. I might do another updated one just because they did recently buff a lot of life skilling materials. So a lot of elixirs are more obtainable nowadays. And so I might do another updated video for elixirs. But until then, I would say if you're using party ones, it's more for endgame stuff or you're grinding in a group, obviously. So yeah, make sure to actually use food, elixirs, and or drafts. I would say for your average player, just using a frenzy draft or something, probably good enough, unless you're at the very high end. So next thing I wanted to talk about, number 4, is church buffs. And church buffs you can obtain in basically every town. They added something recently where you can actually search it. So hit the magnifying glass, find NPC icon, and then you'll see a church buff thing. It's funny how the official thing is called church buffs now, but the reason why is because most people in Velia and Heidel, there's a church in most towns, and you could buy buffs right here. So it's like for 2 hours you can, or 5 hours, 2 hours, you could buy basically some offensive and defensive and XP effects. And generally it is actually worth doing because it helps you grind more efficiently. So that's why it is generally worth stacking it over time. And yeah, so that's one thing to keep in mind. It's in basically every town, but some are more easier to obtain than others, like getting to. All right, so next we have horse buffs. I would admit that this is a little bit more tricky to get to because it's not easy to just get a horse set. But with that said, there are 3 different types of Krogdalo gear that everyone should get eventually. And the way you could do it is on the market, you could look for Krogdalo gear. So there's an earth set, a wind set, and a sea set. And then I believe this one is for a donkey. But the earth set basically gives you DR and evasion for an hour. The wind one gives you 5 AP for an hour. And then the sea one gives you HP. So all of them have their own uses, and I believe the wind one is the most expensive because it just gives AP and more people just like it. So the way it works is if you get a full set of like Krogdalo gear or one set, what you can do is look at my buff bar for a second. The wind one, it'll give you like an extra 5 AP for 1 hour, and if you die, you have to reset the buff. But anyway, it admittedly is a little bit of an investment to get to, but if you've ever gone for the infinite potion and the infinite mana one more in particular, down in Navern Steppe, I know that most people actually hate doing this, but down in like the Navern Steppe area, if you're going for the Valtara's Clairvoyance anyway, chances are you're going to be killing all those birds and everything, so you'll get a lot of items called like wind shards, I believe. So they're these things, and so if you get the wind spirit stone fragments, you can get the AP one. Obviously this is the sea one, and then this is the earth one, so you get a lot of them over time just by like doing things. And so you can craft it, and crafting it, all you have to do is go to Stonetail Ranch, and I believe it's one of these houses. Yeah, stone horse gear, and then you could look at what materials you need to craft them. So it is obtainable without having to buy it, and assuming there's all sold out on the market, you can make it yourself. It's not a big deal. All right, next thing we want to talk about is an alchemy stone. Now, I know a lot of new players actually kind of forget this spot or slot on your gear exists because it doesn't give big AP numbers like the rest of your gear. But at some point, you do have to actually start considering when is it a good time to get an alchemy stone. So for most people, if you are a beginner, here's what I would recommend to all of you guys. So on the market, you'll see alchemy stones. If you don't have any, use the spirit stone. I believe they give you a lot of these from, just playing the game. So like if you do seasons, you'll get a spirit stone that gives like extra AP against monsters. Combat XP, it's for PvE. And then those are, I would say, the entry level. And if you run out, here's what I would do. Where is it? Hold on. If you run out and you're not at the point where you think you can afford an alchemy stone, I would just get these because having more stats is better than no stats, and it'll help you grind faster. So a basic destruction stone as a basic one, very easy to get, and then eventually you're going to transition up into a Vel's Heart and above. So here's what I would do. If you are looking to get an alchemy stone, what I did back in the day before the Vel's Heart even came out was I bought one of these because it's only like 1 billion. It wasn't that expensive. Admittedly, they're kind of sold out on NA just because people try to slam it for Splendids, and I believe Pearl Abyss actually forgot alchemy stones exist in the game, but maybe one day they'll actually be like, oh, it's an item that people can go past Vel's Heart on. But anyway, what I'd recommend is trying to get like a sharp. I'm pretty sure if you just put an order, you can probably get it. They get sold pretty regularly. I know there's orders on it. But then this is like the entry level stone going up into the Vel's Heart and so on. You could get a Khan's Heart. I struggle to recommend this one because the stats for it are just the amount you spend on it. I don't know. Like, I would rather just go for a Vel's Heart and save that extra, I don't know, 10 billion. That's what, like maybe 10 to 15 hours of extra grinding these days. I don't actually know, but chances are you can get one. There's not, I know it says there's a lot of orders on it, but they get sold pretty often to the point where what you would actually do is do the concentrated and then make it yourself. There's actually a lot. So yeah, you just make it yourself. It's very easy, and then buy one of those. Next thing we want to talk about is artifacts and lightstones. Now, as a beginner, you probably don't have a lot of artifacts. I'll show you what I use, but some of them are more like endgame stuff, but I'll try to tell you what I use for beginners and stuff as well. So, whether you're a PvPer or PvEer, one thing that is just generally good to have is, where is it? Extra AP against monsters. Universally, that's just more damage. And so things you put into it are, I use one, if I just want to grind for XP, I would put in 4 combat, so that's like an extra 400%. Accuracy if I'm PvPing. Magic AP. I think magic AP is pretty decent for a lot of things, but overall, you want monster damage for PvE, and then what kind of things you put in. It also depends on how much you feel like you want to spend on crystals and or artifacts and lightstones. But generally, like, I would say the best in slot would probably be a death blow. It is very expensive, so I struggle to recommend it to non-endgame players. It is helpful, but here's what I would do. You see this one? Target openings with critical damage. You can replace the strike crystal if you don't have it, and then put like something like air attack, down attack, any other thing that you use a lot, like some sort of CC. And those are generally cheaper because you want AP. Accuracy is always good. Stamina, it's okay. And then the extra 5% of whatever type of damage you already have. So yeah, I think in general, what you really want is just extra AP against monsters, and then whatever kind of thing you want. If you feel like playing defensively, I personally have Untouchable. This is kind of a test set, but basically you want more defenses, and if you try to grind a new spot or something, and you're unsure if you will survive or something, all DR plus the extra HP, DR, and special attack evasion, always good to have. And yeah, I think it'll be good. Give me something good. Guess we'll never know. All right, next thing I want to talk about is fairy and pets. Now, admittedly, these are kind of on the pay to win side, or not. Well, I guess something that's kind of important. You can get them for free, but having very good ones will probably cost you a little bit of money. So there is a quest to get a fairy. I have a video talking about all the best skills, how to get them, and which ones you should look for. But generally, if you are getting a fairy, whether you are rolling the min-max or not, the high priorities would probably be Miraculous Tier 5 and probably Feathery Steps. The reason why is having your fairy auto-pot for you is just like actually a quality of life thing that's actually good. And so you set your potions here, whether you have infinite potions or not. And then every time you set it, the way it works is you put your potions, there'll be a list if you have more. And then you see the slider, you can select the slider to like whatever number you want. And then this is just how I have mine set up. Set yours to like always use if you want to. And then, yeah. So high priority on Miraculous Tier 5 and Feathery Steps. Everything else is a bonus. In terms of pets, this is a little bit tricky to talk about because obviously getting pets is kind of like on the difficult side, but you can get pets. You can actually get a lot of them just by playing the game for free. Now, here's what I would recommend. People have asked me, is it better to get like 5 tier 1 pets or like 1 tier 5 pet? And the answer will always be more pets, even at a lower tier, will be more efficient than 1 high tier pet. And if you are free to play, here's what I would recommend. Just get 5 pets. They kind of give you a lot just by playing the game and events for logging in. So I paid for a few pets back in the day, but then after I got my tier 4s and then I upgraded to tier 5, I have never bought a pet ever since. And then half of these are literally just from me playing the game and login rewards, events. So yeah, you can get a lot of them and not spend any money on the game. So I think the real cost comes in when people are trying to min-max the kind of extra stats you get on the side, which is important, but not as important. Having pets to just loot is more important anyway. So also, I have a video on that one, on which ones you should go for if you are planning on min-maxing and going for certain skills and everything. So if you want to look at that, I'll leave a link in the description. It's probably going to be a lot of videos down in the description, but hopefully if something caught your attention and you want to know more in detail of why I chose this, you can watch that. The next thing we have are house buffs. And now admittedly, I don't use this as often as I should. I only do it when I'm at like a higher end grind spot. So there are a lot of things in your house that you can get, and you could buy these off the central market as well. Where are they actually? I don't remember. I don't actually buy them off the market, but are they under like consumables? Well, anyway, here's how you know. If you ever have done hunting, you can get a lot of all of these things, and then like the stuffed taxidermy heads or whatever. Let me just show you. Wolf. Yeah, like all of these things right here. It'll give you some effect for like 1 hour, and then you just find the one that you like. So for all the events that I have, and like all the anniversary cakes from just playing the game over the years, basically you can get stuff like combat XP drop rate, or AP, or just like life skill, whatever you want. Basically more stats for like a short duration. And I think it is worth using house buffs, but keep in mind, just pop them when you think you need it versus just collecting them. And there's a lot of events that they do over the years where they just kind of give them away, and you don't have to spend any money on it. This is just like all in-game. And so the final thing to help you grind more efficiently is add-ons. And there's no right or wrong thing. It's more just like how you play. But like high priority add-on effects that you should go for is crit damage, AP against monsters, and things to debuff the enemies, and of course attack and casting speed. So how I build is what works for me, but I just wanted to give you guys some tips. Like PvE, extra damage against monsters, is basically like having more AP. Critical damage means you do more damage when you crit, and then being able to debuff the enemies with like minus DP and evasion generally just makes things a lot easier. So this is my PvE setup for any of you who play Succession DK. This is actually what I use for grinding, and then I have my own separate things for like PvP, arena bosses, and all that stuff. So yeah, with that said, those are 10 tips I can give all of you guys. There's actually a lot of other tips I can give you, but just for the sake of keeping it very simple of 10, that's it. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you guys come back, and I'll try to do videos for people who are beginners, returning players, and people who are just looking to get better at the game. So yeah, I have a lot of tips that I could give you just in general, but those are things I think that would be very important for grinding more efficiently. And so yeah, if you have any other questions or concerns, leave it in the comments, or you could join the Discord and ask. I'm happy to help all of you by pointing you in the right direction of what you should do. So with that said, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.